My first overall play is going to be Dylan Cease over 5.5 strikeouts. I'm going to break down why in just a second. And another great play is going to be Ohtani over 7.5 strikeouts, but that's only if you take the opposing opposite side on a different app. I'm going to explain this strategy in just a second. This is called DFS middling. And why this is such a very good strategy is because these DFS apps are setting their own markets. A lot of these markets are very niche as well. I'm looking at a strikeout example. Now, that's not very niche. As we know, we can compare those directly to the sports books, and sports books have a lot more action, a lot more money poured into each one of these lines, sharps, lines makers, projection models, data, all pouring into each one of these sides of these lines, and it's pushing these lines and setting a more accurate projection, right? Because we're not just looking at an opening line here, we're looking at what the market is doing at any given point. So this is really interesting to look at and kind of observe logically, because Dylan Cease here is set to 5.5 strikeouts on PrizePicks. I'm going to go ahead and confirm that over here on my second screen. When I go ahead and I put in Cease here, I pull up his 5.5 strikeout line. And what we don't know, because PrizePicks is a pick'em platform and it's a fixed payout structure, is that we really don't know what type of line is built into this 5.5 strikeout line, because they're only offering us a projection, right? But whereas if you go onto a sports book, you get actual sports books lines, right? Dylan Cease is going to be highly juiced -160, could be only +100, right? On a sports book. And what we don't know in terms of context here is how Dylan Cease is going to be paid out in a parlay, because those are the only types of slips you can play on PrizePicks. So what we got to do here is observe payouts, because payouts matter. Put Ohtani, we're just going to throw in some random picks here. This is a 3-man power, but essentially I don't want to spend too much time here going over specific picks, but all you really need to take away here is that any type of projection, whether it's more or less, is treated the exact same. The projections matter more so on PrizePicks because every single pick'em type of slip pays out the exact same, no matter what type of over-under you're hitting on each one of these projections, right? So for 5 flex, as you can see, I can change the more or less on these pitchers, but my payouts never change. So we got to break this down in terms of the hidden juice behind each one of these lines, or behind each one of these projections set in this specific slip. And what this does equate to, this equates to -119 implied odds for each one of these legs in this exact slip. We can also add one single player into a 6-man, and the payouts also equate to -119 implied odds on each one of these players as well for a 6-man. So 5-man and 6-man flexes are my favorite to play on PrizePicks for that reason. They give you the best bang for your buck. So that's a great takeaway to have here, because when you look at this over 5.5 line on Dylan Cease, setting a 57.5% chance, we're breaking that down in terms of fair odds percentage of -119 implied odds for him to hit that over at 5.5. So this line right here is -119 to hit the over at 5.5. But on parlay play, you can hit the under. As you can see, the only projection being set here to 6, under 6 strikeouts at -114 implied odds in a 6-man insured slip. Why this is a very good edge to have is because this is close to, a 50-50 payout for both PrizePicks and parlay play. But what if this player goes out, Dylan Cease, and goes out and ends on 6 strikeouts, okay? Imagine he goes out and throws for exactly 6 strikeouts. You win on PrizePicks, but you don't technically lose on parlay play. As we know, pushes, at least as of right now, for all these pick'em apps, it just results it down to DNPs and results it down the leg. So this would turn into a 5 flex if we were to play this in a 6-man insured slip on parlay play. Now, again, this is a lot to break down, but essentially all we're showing here is that there is a mathematical edge as long as you hit the over on PrizePicks and the under 6 on parlay play. Of course, you have to find 5 other legs to do that, and you can do that with the DFS optimizer. But regardless, you guys get the point. I know that was a lot of hoopla, and I thank you guys for watching up to that point. But Dylan Cease is my first play, and only if you're middling this on parlay play. Dylan Cease over 5.5 strikeouts, as you can see, has a mathematical edge. And honestly, parlay play, there's more of an edge on that app than there is on PrizePicks, because as you can see, the market generally agrees here over 5.5. Regardless, what you need to do here is take the under on parlay play, take the over on PrizePicks. And assuming you do that, let's go ahead and build out a slip on PrizePicks using the rest of the plays by comparing the rest of the market. Again, Ohtani would be a great play for the exact same reason if you're to play the over at 7.5 on PrizePicks, but then turn around on hot streak and hit the under 8.5. Imagine if he lands on 8. You win both bets at -160. I know that's heavily juiced, but again, you're looking for that middle opportunity at landing on 8 strikeouts, okay, for Ohtani. And that's the mindset to have here when you're playing these two slips. So as we can go down the line here, we have a lot of plays to kind of look at when observing the market. The first one's actually going to come from MMA. So Blachowicz, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Jan Blachowicz. Again, I don't watch MMA. I apologize if I offended anybody. But what this is going to look like, we pulled the total rounds prop from PrizePicks. As you can see here, the sportsbook line on Pinnacle, one of the sharpest sportsbooks in the entire world. Same thing with DraftKings. Set to 1.5 rounds. So we're saying that Jan and Alex are going to go under 1.95 total rounds. And why it's 1.95 is because PrizePicks breaks this down in terms of minutes, not total rounds. So if we search block, hit the under at 9.75 because that equates to 1.95 total rounds. We're going to hit the under there because there's a mathematical edge. You're basically looking at almost even money at 1.5 on these two very sharp sports books, and you're getting it at a slightly higher, actually a pretty significant higher amount of fight minutes here on PrizePicks. So we're going to hit the under here on that player. Again, we're observing the market, see how it's adjusted. Right now, 2 of the 3 books are pricing this at a certain line at 1.5, but we can get it at a slightly higher discount here at 1.95. We're going to go down the list here. Derek Lewis, again, I've played these already, but for the purposes of this YouTube content, we haven't played it, right? So we're going to hit the over here on Derek Lewis. And I know these two are heavy hitters just because I think they're in the heavyweight, right? It doesn't say. Anyway, I know these guys, they finish pretty quickly. So if you hit the over at 0.95, you're essentially just trying to get them to go over 1 round. Could definitely do it, right? So hit the over at 4.75 for all the reasons that we did say. Heavily juiced on the under here at 1.5. But again, we're getting that discount, major discount, even going lower than the first round. So if these guys go into the second round, you win your bet. So that's all you need to know. And then going down the line looks to be a League of Legends play. I know this is an MLB video, but guys, all we're doing is looking for the largest discrepancies in the market, looking for the most mathematically profitable plays on PrizePicks, and then throwing them into the slip. I don't care what sport it is, because again, we're looking at the market. You don't need to know a single thing about any one of these markets. League of Legends. All we need to know is that on Underdog Fantasy, he's set to 3, and he's also set to 3 on Sports Battle. But guess what? On PrizePicks, he's set to 3.5. He's 0.5 higher. Imagine if you observed a discrepancy in the market for like, on an NBA for like assists, for just take a random player. Keldon Johnson set to 3.5 assists, right? On PrizePicks, but in the market, he's set to 3. You would hit the under at 3.5 because it just doesn't make sense. The market has not adjusted. We're giving this a slight edge, again, to be profitable in the long term on PrizePicks 5 flex slips. You need to have a percentage chance of 54.2% or higher, okay? And this is 54.96, so a slight edge, hitting the under here on Vreeker for League of Legends. Again, don't need to know what sport you're even betting on. You don't need to have any sports knowledge because the market already does all that research for you. Last but not least, we can go to 2 more plays here for not for League of Legends, for MMA. We can actually go down to Andre Rublev. Again, don't care about the sport we're playing because all we're doing is observing the market here. Another middle opportunity. Hit the over at 3.5 aces on PrizePicks. Take the under on Underdog at 4.5 because there's a full 1 ace discrepancy. Hit the over at 3.5 and then put them into your slip. And this is a mathematically profitable slip long term. Not saying the slip is going to cash out 5 out of 5 because that's unrealistic for me to say when usually the percent chance of hitting over, assuming there's a 50-50 coin flip chance for each one of these, which there's not, around the 5% chance, we're looking at closer to about 7 to 10% chance for this to go 5 of 5. Now, having that 2 to 5% margin will keep you profitable in the long run. That is how you remain profitable as a sports bettor. And that will conclude my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future MLB content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.